All right, what's up, John? Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me, man. I'm excited.
Yeah, this is a little weird given our history. People probably think something like this would never happen, but um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's cool, man.
Well, you know, everything happens for a reason, I believe. So, I'm excited to be here. Let's see what happens out of this
Yeah, yeah.
interview. Yeah,
Hmm.
thank you so much for having me, man. And by the way, I do stand by the fact that your friend Catherine is pretty hot. So
Oh,
just to
okay,
get
okay.
get started on the right note here.
Yeah, the first question was going to be if you would enter a polyamorous relationship with her. I don't know if the real Catherine would be okay with that, but um,
Is he available?
I think he's available. Yeah, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Hmm.
Well, tell him to DM me.
All right, all right. He'll DM you. Okay, so just want to say before we get into the questions, I did get a lot of crap from some of my subscribers for doing this. Some people think that I'm just all in, accepting whatever John has to say is true, and that I'm pandering to his nonsense. That's how they word it. Like, oh, I can't believe you're pandering to his nonsense. I just want to say that I'm just doing this because John has admitted to me that he's not the best at articulating, and I want to push him on certain things and see if we can get the absolute truth here. It's up to you if you believe what he has to say. I'm not even sure if I believe what he has to say, but I'm still open to hearing what he has to say. So before we get into the serious stuff, um, people have been wanting to know if you've seen my parodies and what do you think of them? Because that's kind of how this all started.
Yeah, great question. So I have run into your stuff a very long time. Like, I wouldn't say a very long time ago, but like I would say at least a year ago, or maybe you haven't even been on YouTube a year ago. But it feels like a long time.
Hmm.
And that was, I think, when you made a video about me on some topic. I can't remember because it's been a lot.
Hmm.
But since then, I have known about you, and then later on, I watched a video that was like actually one of the latest videos you did about me. I think it was a 10-minute one, me versus me, basically,
Yeah. Uh-huh.
or John Venus versus Von Genus or something like that. I
Yeah.
can't remember, but that was the
Yeah.
first one that I watched like all the way through, and yeah, I mean, I was laughing a lot. Catherine was laughing, so like
Hmm.
that's all I had to say.
Yeah.
So yeah, good job.
Yeah. I respect that you're able to, I mean, recognize the comedic aspect of it, and the fact that you can recognize that you've switched so much, and there's a lot of contradictions between what you said in the past and now, and whatever. That's respectable. Some people like Primal Edge help. They'll see my parodies and just get super butthurt and offended when I'm objectively showing like some flaws in what someone's doing. But okay, that's cool. I'm glad to know you've seen the parodies. So yeah, guys. So for the serious questions, there's going to be four sections really. The first one's going to be on John's vegan, ex-vegan history. The next section is going to be about his PR ability and how he's handled, you know, public relations in relation to his coming out as ex-vegan and the videos he was making after the fact of announcing he was ex-vegan. The third is going to be about the animals and animal rights and veganism and what it's all about. And then the fourth will just be on theories of motive that people have about why John's been flip flopping and switching, and just to get John's response to some of those theories. So, just to start with the vegan ex vegan history, um, so I want to talk about that video you released in the very beginning. This was kind of how it all started when you said that you were no longer identifying as a vegan, but you were still going to practice the vegan lifestyle. So could you just explain your thought process in doing that?
Yeah, so that was, I'm assuming, around 2 years ago, right? At this point, so at that time, I think what got me to make that video was seeing a lot of the hates people I knew were getting, kind of similar to what I ended up going through, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where a lot of people were throwing them under the bus, especially influencers and that kind of stuff, without knowing the full story, without having met them in person, etc. Um, And I don't know, I was just going through a very frustrated period of my life, and you know, obviously with the back injury, it was pretty bad. So I was in a bad mood, and I made a video. It was I think I've explained this before, but it was one of the most spontaneous, like most of my dramatic videos, and that goes into the PR kind of stuff that we can talk about later. But most of my videos are very unscripted. I just hit the record button, try to edit, you know, as quickly as possible, and post it without thinking about anything, just for authenticity's sake, which is not always the best idea, especially when talking about topics and sensitive topics and these things, right? So yeah, that was just a video of me explaining how I thought it was so horrible what I was seeing out there of so many, because I was getting messages from non-vegans saying that, you know, these people who are being you know, called out and being and put on kind of like the spot for leaving veganism, these non-vegan people that were seeing this were terrified of veganism because of it. And I was seeing a lot of people react that way. So for me, you know, that pissed me off, and I wanted to make a video just telling people, like, you know, the main mission here is not, you know, what's right or wrong or whatever. The main mission here is efficiency in, you know, what we're trying to achieve, which is like, you know, peace and you know, safety for all living beings and animals and these things, right? So I was just this like tired of the whole thing, of all the videos being made of people who left the vegan lifestyle for whatever reason there was. So that was the video's motivation, basically.
And then you deleted it though, right?
I didn't. I think I may have privated it. Yeah, I think so, for a little while. I think I'm not sure if it's up right now or not. I think it's been up for a little while, like 6 months or something. But yeah, it was down for a little while because you know, it reached it didn't do a good job in conveying what I was trying to say. And I do remember now this one sentence that these words that I used, that was "I don't care." I think it was "I don't care about if someone is watching Earthlings and eating a hamburger at the same time," or something along those lines. You know, I said that, and that got a lot of criticism, which is 100% understandable, right? But it's one of those things where you say things that you don't really mean, but then you get in trouble for not providing enough context and not really thinking things through properly. So
okay, we can talk about that too, I guess, in the PR section, of how your videos can be a bit convoluted, and people have said like you're really good at talking for 12 minutes but then not really conveying like an articulate, straightforward idea. So yeah, we could talk about that too in the PR section. So correct me if I'm wrong, but it was a couple months or maybe like 6 months after that video release where you announced that during that time period you were taking part in an egg experiment to see if it would potentially fix your lower back.
Well, it wasn't because of my lower back. It was, so essentially, I don't know how much everyone watching has context for anything, but essentially, you know, when my son was born, I started developing this fear, you know, of like, as a parent, like, of not being able to provide enough nutrients, like being worried that he's gonna, you know, be behind, and not finding enough scientific evidence to make me at least comfortable with the choice. That started, like, you know, all the way back then. So, you know, for me, it was a case of, you know, that fear. Instead of going fully not vegan, it was like, okay, maybe if I have these backyard eggs, like, I'll feel some difference, and maybe that'll give me an indication of whether or not to reconsider this lifestyle for my family, essentially.
So you thought that consuming eggs for yourself would make you more convinced that your son would be healthy on a vegan diet? Is that what I'm hearing?
I think that was the mindset at the time, yeah. Which is like, obviously, that's not how you get the.
You understand how that doesn't follow.
Obviously, of course,
right,
yes,
right,
of course.
okay.
But I think, you know, when you operate out of fear, I think you do a lot of things that don't make sense. I think that's normal for everyone.
Yeah, it's hard to behave reasonably when you're in a fearful state. Yeah.
Exactly.
Okay.
So
I mean,
the fearful state started, you know, all the way back then. So, you know, even though it seems like, you know, flip flop back and forth, like, it's all kind of related to the same thing.
Okay. Now, you did this though, the egg experiment. how long after you released that, that video where you said, I'm no longer identifying as vegan, but I'm still going to behave as a vegan and commit to the vegan lifestyle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm asking like how long after you released that video did you start the egg experiment?
How long after I released the label video?
Did you start the egg experiment? Yeah.
I think I did a label video at the end of my stay in Norway, and then we went to Barcelona, and at the very start of my trip there, I did the egg experiment, which was like 3 eggs essentially
Right.
that I did.
Right.
And I was like, I made a video. I think it's still up. And yeah, it wasn't like it was a bullshit experiment. Like you don't find anything out by eating 3 eggs, right? I mean, I knew that. I just, who the fuck knows where you get up to when you're in these weird states of mind. I think a lot of people can relate to that.
So do you understand though? Sorry, do you understand that, when you say like, I'm no longer identifying as a vegan, but I'm still going to be behaving as a vegan, and then people find out months later that you ended up doing something that is not vegan, such as consume 3 eggs, that people after that are going to have a hard time trusting you. I mean, because you know what I'm trying to say?
I mean, yeah, for sure. I think, trust on YouTube and social media is a tricky thing, because sometimes the more honest you are, the less trust you create in certain scenarios, right? And sometimes it's not the best idea to give out certain information or share certain experiences, because it can be taken the wrong way without the wrong context and that kind of stuff, right? So
that was actually my next question.
Okay.
Why did you not announce it the moment you decided you were going to do it, especially with somebody who has a majority vegan audience, and you built your audience based off vegans, and then here you are behind camera doing something that is not vegan? So why did you not announce it when you decided you were going to do it?
Well, because I thought it was an experiment and it would be kind of weird to announce publicly. It's kind of like announcing the day you lose your virginity, like to everyone. Like I don't know if that's something that is the right way to go about it. I think everyone has the right to keep things private until they're ready psychologically, or just ready to share it, essentially. So I don't think it makes it wrong or makes it a lie to not say something exactly when it happens. Something happens and you have to feel obligated to share it straight away. So that's how I see it. I could have not said anything and people would hate me less for it, but I prefer, sharing my journey authentically as I'm going through it. Maybe not in a real time, but I still try to share everything, for the better or worse. A lot of times for the worse. But
I guess the point I'm trying to make here is that when you have, like, imagine if me, right, I have an audience that's solely based in ethics. You might have some people that are more into it for health, but you also have an ethical audience. I've seen them. So imagine if someone like me, who advocates for animals and does these things, which I've seen you do too, by the way, at that time when you were vegan at that point. Now imagine if I were to start paying for eggs, right? And I didn't tell my audience. Like I feel like it's an obligation. Like I don't think that me having my virginity taken or something is really analogous to me doing something that I know that my audience is very much against and supports me for not doing, right? Which is not consuming eggs. So I'm just trying to say here that I think that it was sort of like an obligation for you to at least tell them, like, hey, I'm about to do something that you guys in your heads think I would never do because I'm identifying as a vegan. But you know what I'm trying to say? Like it's.
No, I get it. We just have different, opinions on it. Like, if you have an audience that is, heterosexual males and into lifting, and you find out that, you're homosexual, you're not going to share that immediately with everyone, right? In real time, just because, you understand that the people who are watching you or following you is maybe not going to take that the most positive way, so to speak.
I understand what you mean. I would just say that the difference there with that analogy is that you don't have an audience that's like against homosexuality, whereas
right. I'm just saying, like, as a theoretical situation. I agree with you. I just don't know if influencers need to say everything that they're gonna are planning to do even though it's big, like I think everyone has to have the space and the privacy to figure things out for themselves and not share absolutely everything
Yeah, yeah.
beforehand or exactly when you do it. Now, in my opinion, I think it's good to share as much as possible. That is why I ended up doing it. But I don't think it's necessarily the right thing to do it real time or even before you decide to do it.
Yeah, I'm not
I
trying to
think people
say
need
that.
to just figure it out for themselves.
Yeah, I'm not trying to say that influencers should have to share everything. I'm just saying that as a
Yeah.
vegan influencer, you should share that because it's literally non-vegan and it's something that your followers will be, um, triggered to hear or whatever, and they would be even more triggered to find out that you withheld the truth from them for a long time. And that's why I would say that people have a hard time believing you because you withheld the truth. Like maybe in your head it seemed like a justified thing to, not tell us or whatever, but I'm just trying to get you to understand how it comes off to the vegan audience, right?
Yeah. I got you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
and I see that point. I also I disagree with a lot of it, but I think it's just perspective. Like everyone sees things differently, and I think a lot of times if you're vegan, you're kind of put under an extra microscope, and you feel like if you're vegan, then you should do this or you should do that or you have to do this or you have to do that. And sure, you have to do certain things as a vegan, like not eat animal products or support the animal industry, etc. But it doesn't necessarily mean that you have to tell people about your indecision or your experiments that you're about to take on and put yourself in a lot of criticism's way and hatred and that kind of stuff, which can affect many people's state of mind and mental health deeply. So it's not that simple either,
Yeah.
in my opinion.
Yeah, again, I guess we can disagree to disagree here. I think that as a vegan influencer, you should tell your audience, which appreciates you for being vegan, that you're about to take part in something that isn't vegan. But I mean, that's just my view.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
we can move on to the next thing. So
Yeah, sure.
the decision to consume eggs, you said it was solely based on fear. It wasn't really based on any sort of like scientific data. You just felt that it
Yes.
might do something. Okay.
Yes.
Right. Now I want to fast forward to your most recent ex-vegan announcement, right? Which we kind of already touched on this a little bit, but you said that it was skepticism of the plant-based diet, but in relation to your child that drove you as an adult to now eat animal products. So you kind of acknowledged already that that didn't really make much sense. So um, just I guess for emphasis, you understand that that didn't really follow and that you could have easily had the skepticism about children while as an adult continuing the vegan lifestyle. Yeah.
Yeah, for sure.
And,
Yeah, I
and
get
because
that.
you were in a fearful state, you just kind of lumped it into you and then ate
Yeah,
animal
well,
products.
yeah, we try to make decisions as a family, and like it just doesn't feel right to do like one thing yourself and have one kind of belief system and then do this like the opposite, or not the opposite, but like something different for your children. Like I think I prefer being in alignment and everyone being on board at the same time. I think psychologically that makes more sense. And that's what I think is best for my kids. So I think that was the only reason why a lot of people didn't understand that bit, is because in my opinion, I think the family has to be a unit and be like a team and do things together and be on the same page. And that's just how I see it.
Yeah.
I don't necessarily see it anymore. I think it's fine. And I've opened up to the idea that it doesn't make you a non-vegan if you're a vegan parent and you feed your kids non-vegan food and that kind of stuff, or it doesn't you don't have to. It doesn't necessarily cause division in the household or psychological issues or eating disorders. I think it's just a balance every parent and every family and household has to find for themselves.
Yeah. Yeah. See, I would say like I understand the whole family unit thing, and I'm just imagining in a hypothetical that let's say I had a kid that just required animal products, but I ethically was against supporting a holocaust of animals when I didn't need to. I personally would drop this whole unit mentality and say, okay, for my kid to not die, I'm going to have to feed them some amount of animal products, but I'm going to continue to be vegan because I'm still against paying for an animal holocaust when there isn't a need to do so,
Mm-hmm.
right? So
Yep.
I would say that that's what you probably should have done in that scenario, as opposed to lump this sort of like child nutrition skepticism into yourself too as an adult, because
Mm-hmm.
because it caused you to now start supporting animal agriculture with no
Mm-hmm.
genuine like no real reason, you know. So
Mm-hmm.
um,
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, no real reason is subjective. For me, it was the biggest reason. Like, these things make a lot of sense in my own mind, or I wouldn't have done it, right?
mhm.
So, I think everyone thinks differently and have different points of view.
How about
And it's also
scientific reason, like reason based in science, for you as an adult
for.
to start eating animal products? Like you didn't really have that.
Mhm.
We could say
No, I
that,
never claimed to have that either.
right?
Yeah, for sure, 100%. It was
Mhm.
never about that. I agree with the perspective. Like, I think it would be a lot better for me to do that, but it's not like when you say like this is what you should have done, I'm like, yeah, it would have been a lot better for many things, but also for me personally as a human, to overcome the things that I need to overcome to go through what I need to go through. For me, that was the path that I took, and maybe it was worse than the other path, but that's what
Mhm.
happened. And I feel like
Yeah.
we shouldn't be so hard on which path we end up taking and judge ourselves or each other so much, because at the end of the day, we all have to go through different paths and avenues to learn different things about others and ourselves.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
yeah, there is no, right or wrong way to do anything, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's sort of like a subjective thing. I have a
For
sense
sure.
of right and wrong, which is based in my subjective ethics. But yeah, listen, I'm just trying my best to understand where you were psychologically. I'm
Mm-hmm.
pretty into psychology, and I'm trying to understand your qualia or like subjective experience that led you to these things, while still letting
Yeah.
you know outside of your emotional distortion that was happening in those moments, what you should have done according to me and according to what I think
Yeah.
a vegan would do, like a who has vegan
Yeah.
principles. Like,
I
but
I
yeah.
welcome your opinion,
Mhm.
Danny. So that's all good.
Mhm. Cool. Now, do you have any skepticism in this moment about the plant-based diet? Like, is there any part of you, like even 0.001% of you that like has any sort of skepticism over the nutritional
Uh,
adequacy of a plant-based diet?
for kids or for like in general?
We'll save for you for now, just for you.
Oh, for me,
Hmm.
I mean, like, there is always going to be skepticism because you can't be 100% sure of anything, but there is
Hmm.
no fear around it, so to speak. I don't like, for adults, there is extremely little evidence to support that it's not potentially optimal for human health, right? There is
Okay.
a lot of good evidence suggesting that. For kids, it's a little bit of the the other side. There is very little data. Like, there is some, and we shouldn't discount that. It's amazing.
Hmm.
But compared to adults, it's far from the same level. And it's way harder to study kids and all these things. And
Hmm.
um, so I don't have any like skepticism around a plant-based diet being potentially optimal. But again, as as everyone knows, just being vegan or being plant-based doesn't mean anything, doesn't represent what you're eating on a daily basis to optimize your health, right? So
Hmm.
people need to be aware of it, just like with any other eating pattern and diet
Hmm.
or lifestyle,
Yeah.
to make better choices. So
Yeah. I mean, I would put
yeah,
aside
I'm
the
fully
yeah.
aware of all the.
Hmm.
Yeah, I've been doing this for, like, making these videos and doing this for quite a few years, and doing that forces you to look at the potential flaws. And again, like, there are some of them that are more complex and more individual and more rare to other people, like, let's say, vitamin A conversion, for example. There are cases where people cannot convert enough, but it's extremely rare. Like, even people with that certain gene that has a hard time converting beta carotene to retinol
Hmm.
is able to, that those effects are able to, or impairment is able to be reversed with a certain amount of sweet potato intake or something.
Hmm.
So there are certain situations where people just can't sustain it,
Hmm.
and or they can't with food, at least, they
Hmm.
need extra supplementation. But in general, Like for the vast majority of the people, I've never come across a situation where, someone goes vegan and then 6 months later they're, on their deathbed or something. Like a lot of
Mm-hmm.
these testimonials, a lot of times you see online,
Mm-hmm.
which is pretty funny.
Yeah, I just want to be clear that I was just asking about just you. Like I don't want to get to the empirics of
Mm-hmm.
like people with specific genetic defects or
Sure.
whatever. That's all a great discussion, and another time
Mm-hmm.
we could probably go into the data on that. But I was just asking about just you. So you
Yeah.
for yourself do
Yeah. I
not
think
have any mhm,
no. Um, I mean, like I have health issues like everyone, but I
mhm,
don't think it's caused by a plant-based diet or anything like that. Like I'm still, hurting. My back is still messed up, but
mhm,
it's much, much better than it was before.
mhm.
And, I don't have any worries for myself in relationship to a plant-based diet.
Cool.
Like I
Mhm,
have so many people in my family who are vegan and who have been vegan for 6+ years. So
mhm,
I see firsthand what the results are.
mhm.
And if I saw red flags, I would have told someone or tried to figure that out a long time ago.
Cool.
But so far, like
Yeah.
I don't see any reasons to be worried for myself or for anyone else.
Mhm.
In my immediate family at least.
Yeah. If this is too private, you don't have to share this, but I want to know, are you the only person in your
Mm-hmm.
family who has gone vegan that has gone ex-vegan? Besides, say,
Yeah.
Catherine, but like,
Uh,
like,
yeah. Yeah.
mm-hmm,
Exactly. Well, I can't say I know everything, but
mm-hmm,
and also I don't want to give information and
yeah,
privacy that
mm-hmm,
I'm not
totally,
allowed to do. But to
mm-hmm,
my knowledge, no. Yeah.
okay. Now, I think I told you this over the phone, but I would just say that I think that for all future plant-based nutritional concerns, you should consult with Dr. Avi. He's a very objective plant-based medical doctor. I think he told me that you might do something with him in the future. He's very
Yeah.
objective. He debunks vegan myths, things that vegans
Mm-hmm.
say. He's criticized Dr. Michael Greger, and I'm sure he would love to talk to you about the child thing. I don't know if your son is still vegan or not, but I don't even want to get into that. This is about you. But for future reference, I think you should talk to him. He will
Mm-hmm.
gladly go through the data with you and address any
Sure.
concerns you have.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, yeah.
um,
I mean, that's one of the misconceptions as well, is that, I have a brother who's a medical doctor, and I have loads of people who know what they're talking about, and I
mhm,
decide not to listen to anyone, right? But,
mhm,
I've talked to a shit ton of people, like a lot, and I keep
mhm,
talking to them. Like that is how I personally learn and how I make
mhm.
decisions based
Yeah.
on, nutrition and health at least. So yeah, I keep talking to everyone. I'm always open to all kinds of information. I've never said anything that is outrageous that I can think of right now, unless I said something that I didn't really, mean. But scientifically, I've never said anything that I don't mean in terms of, the flaws and the potential pitfalls of the research out there.
Okay.
Um, yeah. I don't really see like any issues with how Dr. Avi and Richard, for example, did debunk Ornish or Esselstyn or whatever. I think that's a good thing for vegans and non-vegans to criticize and be objective about what
Yeah.
we're promoting out there. And I actually made a video with, I think I was invited on Paul Saladino's podcast, and we essentially went over the same studies. And I don't know if the same things were said or whatever, but
Mhm.
it's cool that people are willing to be more objective. And that's all I wanted. I just wanted to be more objective and say things as they were, and not just sugarcoat things and promote things
Mhm.
falsely, which a lot of people unfortunately do.
Oh yeah. There's a lot of vegan ideologues out there that just
Yeah.
exaggerate claims, and it's pretty annoying. Okay.
Yeah.
Cool. So I want to get onto the PR stuff now. So you told me over the phone that you admit that you are not too good with PR, and the way that you handled all of this drama after becoming an
Mm-hmm.
ex-vegan was not the best. So I want to get some clarity here on helping you understand where the vegan community was coming from when they reacted to everything you did in the way that they did. So, you built an entire community based off of veganism and the vegan community, and you went ex-vegan technically behind camera with the three eggs. You didn't say anything about it until months later. I know think that was okay, but I'm just gonna list everything here.
Mm-hmm.
Then you started to follow the vegan lifestyle again, and then you went
Mm-hmm.
ex-vegan again. But this time, not only did you go ex-vegan, but you said you wanted to start hunting. You wanted to start having
Mm.
backyard eggs, which you ended up doing. And then you eventually did a collab with Anti-Vegan, Primal Edge Health, and
Mm.
Paul Saladino, which you just mentioned. I'm not sure if he's anti-vegan, but he is a carnivore diet advocate.
Mm-hmm.
Now, I just want to ask you, after hearing all of that, do you understand how set apart you are from most other ex-vegans given all of that history?
Yes.
Okay.
That sounds pretty crazy, man.
Yeah.
I love it.
I just wanted to.
I love it and hate it at the same time. But
Right.
yeah, that's pretty interesting. Yeah.
Yeah. And do you understand why the things I just listed are pretty big fuel for the way the vegan community reacted to you coming out
Oh
as ex-vegan?
yes, 100%. Yeah.
Okay, cool. Because I just so you guys know, when I talked to John over the phone about this, he acknowledged that he understands and basically thought most of the reactions were pretty reasonable, aside from, things like death threats, which none of you should be doing. I
Mm-hmm.
think that's totally unreasonable to throw death threats at anyone. Um, but just so you know, John understands the backlash, and I just wanted to paint real quick all of the reasons that kind of justify the backlash, right? So now you told me that you had a kind of rationale for announcing that you are hunting again, and that you thought
Mm-hmm.
vegans might appreciate it. So can you try to just explain that to me?
Oh right. Well, yeah. I mean, they definitely. I didn't say vegans might appreciate that I went hunting, but I can give more context to the
Hmm.
idea behind hunting that maybe gives some vegans out there a more holistic understanding of what went through my mind. So um, for those who don't know, like I went vegan for ethical reasons almost 6 years ago, and that's the only reason. I've never been vegan for health or taken my health that seriously, to be honest. Which I think everyone should, but I've never been prioritize it or a person to prioritize health. So ethics has always been the reason to be vegan and to go vegan, right? So with that in mind, you learn to set yourself in the animal's shoe. You learn to practice empathy and compassion, just like try to experience and relive their lives in their shoes, right, so to speak. So once you do that, you have an understanding, right? And you have new values and core principles to follow, especially if you connect to those animals. And once you do that, I don't think that can be broken. So when I went non-vegan, for me, the most important thing was to do my best to still stay true to the principle of less harm, right? To do it the best way possible. And obviously I didn't want to, buy any animal products from supermarkets or anything like that, any meat, any, anything essentially. And the only way to get my food then, in my mind, was to get it myself, which requires me to go out there and get the food myself. So fishing, I think because fish are a little bit more different than mammals and to us humans, it's not as difficult to disassociate from them, and to actually fish is much milder than to go out there hunting, right? So in my idea, I wanted to go fishing first, but that was not an option because if you look at the mercury, the PCB, and the microplastic levels, it's absolutely horrible. Like it's just not something that is safe anymore for any human to eat, I don't think.
Hmm.
So the next thing was just game meat, like deer and that kind of stuff, and I wasn't really ever thinking about eating mammals or anything like that, but I thought that was the only way that I could achieve my goal, which was to get animal products without supporting the animal industry and without sacrificing our health by poisoning ourselves with heavy metals, etc. So the hunting thing was just something that that came natural because we grew up, or me and Catherine were from a village in Norway that all they do is hunt and fish. So it wasn't like I all of a sudden decided to do something crazy that I never thought about doing before. It's always been in the family, and it was just something that was available to that scenario that I felt was a potential option to explore. And then, of course, I did explore it by tagging along on my father-in-law's hunting trip, because he got like an offer to go hunt a reindeer, and he was gonna have some other people in the family tag along, and I was just tagging along as well to to film and to just see how that experience and that process works, and to learn how everything works in that sense, right? So that was like the reason behind it. I don't know if that makes sense at all, but
I no, I followed it. So was there a part of you that thought maybe it wouldn't be as bad because there's kind of less deaths in hunting than there is in you going to buy it from a supermarket? Was that something that was driving that decision?
Less deaths from buying from hunting a
supporting
deer
animal
than
agriculture. Yeah. Right.
oh well, yeah, 100%. Yeah, for sure. Like
Mm-hmm.
the math is pretty clear on that one,
Yeah.
for sure. Yeah.
Yes, I just want to explain how let's entertain that and grant that you going and hunting deer yourself would cause less deaths than you going to the supermarket to buy meat. Now there's a thing though about your decision to go and hunt them yourself that makes it, in my opinion and in most vegans' opinion, arguably worse, because you were an ethical vegan for a long time, and then you're saying that you want to actually kill them yourself. Now, regardless of whether or not that causes less deaths, the fact is that you're saying that you want to do the killing yourself. There's something about that is just very like, wait, really? Like, it's because me personally, right, as an ethical vegan, I can't ever
Well,
kill an
I
animal.
never said I wanted to do the killing myself, but like that I wanted to get involved and learn the process of hunting. And eventually, obviously if you're a hunter yourself, you're going to have to kill the animal.
Yeah.
But I get your point. That you're, when I was vegan, I thought I would never eat anything again. And I thought that hunting there's something that I just wouldn't be able to do. Right. And to be honest, I don't think I would have. Like I'm pretty sure that no matter how far down that route I went, I'm pretty sure that somewhere along, further down that line, I would have turned around and not done it, because, it's just, I've killed a chicken before, and it was, even though it was like mercy killing because it was sick, it was still not a nice thing. And I think when you do it, when you're, for example, in my hunting experience, when you see everything yourself, and you understand what it takes, and you understand, how this beautiful animal is just all of a sudden, dead, and you took its life away from you, and you understand that, you have to be responsible for that.
Yeah.
And if it's not necessary at the end of the day, I think that it's not necessary. Like, I wouldn't do it, right? So again, from fear, from everything else, not being able to understand that, you cannot have a guarantee of safety for your child or for anyone in your family's health. And you just have to accept the fear and let that, settle down and just, take control of it. That was the main kind of thing that sparked the hunting, the all these ideas, right? To try to do things in a way that I felt like was a better method of doing things.
Yeah. No,
rather than just, going to a factory farm or McDonald's or something.
Yeah. No, I understand. I want to say though that you did just say that you didn't say that you want to hunt and kill animals yourself, but you did indeed say that like word for word in the hunting announcement video. So maybe you didn't mean it, or you weren't thinking. I don't know.
Well, I meant, I think I was thinking more of the criticism that I wanted to kill or I was looking forward to kill the animals. That's that's what my mind went. So that was never the case. I never said I was looking forward to killing animals or anything like that.
Okay.
But I guess I mean, if I said it word for word, I must have said it. So
I want you to understand what goes on in a vegan's mind when they hear an ex-vegan say, I want to hunt and kill the animals myself. Like that, like we're gonna hear that
for sure,
and we're gonna think that you have a desire to hunt and kill animals yourself, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. I get it.
Yeah. So now, remember everything I just said with all that history, plus this now hunting thing that we just talked about. Do you understand that given all of that, it's very hard for people to believe that you are vegan for good this time.
Oh yeah, I mean, 100%.
Okay.
I think that that's part of the reason why I've been making so many videos recently, trying to get more context around everything. And doing this stream with you is part of that as well. And I do fully understand. Like, I mean, it's I understand the skepticism, and there's so many theories that are completely false, and I would love to touch on them. So we can go straight there if you want. But I do fully understand how it seems like I'm doing things just to piss people off, or just to cause drama or create views, or whatever the case is. But at the end of the day, what you're seeing online is a glimpse of me as a human in that moment in time, saying something that represents what I was going through mentally. So that's just all it is. And we all make mistakes, and we all do stupid things. We're all stupid to some extent. So yeah, that's just, I'm just a little bit extra crazy in that sense. So
All right. Well, at least you're self-aware about this. Well,
yes.
so we can get into the theories of motive part, and in that part you can go into some things you've heard that you don't like. But before we do that,
Let's do it.
I want to do probably the most important part of my questions now, which is the animal rights part. So you kind of already covered this, but people wanted to know if you ever killed a deer yourself. You haven't, right? You said that it was the trip
No.
that you went on, but
Yes. Right.
okay.
Yeah.
Now, how did you feel on this hunting trip? I mean, was there any sort of cognitive dissonance?
I think there was a lot of conditioning, like prepping. The whole preparation time before the hunt was a lot of, like, preparing myself for this thing, right? So I think there is definitely barriers or things that I put in place that had an effect, but it didn't have an effect right there and then. So like I didn't feel, and because I wasn't close to it, like I wasn't witnessing everything in its full experience. Like I was really far away and I couldn't see what was going on. So I didn't feel like happy or glad or anything like that. Like after the process was done, I did feel gratitude because we did something so intense. We killed a innocent animal's life to feed my family, essentially. And I was just grateful for that, because that was the only way I was willing to eat animals. So I felt a lot of gratitude there. But that night, my body was just like, it was like feverish. It was like, I don't know what happened that night, but it was like I was feeling really off. And I'm pretty sure that must have had something to do with it. But obviously looking back now, when I think of it, like I always tell people about, when I talk about this experience, that the reindeer was the most beautiful animal I've ever seen. Like the antlers with the fur, and like magnificent, like amazing. So, I wouldn't be able to do it myself, man. Like there's no way. There is no way. I again, like people know this already. Like that's why the videos exist. I say things, without fully, having gone through them. So yeah.
Do you think that
Yeah,
the
there is
hunting was wrong?
no.
Do you think it was wrong to go and just kill that beautiful, innocent reindeer?
Well, it depends for who you're talking about. Like I believe in everyone's right to decide what is right or wrong for them.
Yeah,
But for
I'm
me
asking.
personally,
Yeah, I'm asking you.
yes. For me personally, yeah, for sure. Because
Okay.
at the time it wasn't in my state of mind at the time, but now, understanding what was causing everything, yes.
Okay. Yeah, I just wanted to clear that up.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, do you remember that video you uploaded and then deleted and then uploaded and then deleted again with
What's this?
the hunting? You had the hunting trophies in the background, and
Oh, gotcha.
in that video
Yeah.
you said that, I remember this word for word because I've edited it into my videos so much. You believe that most, if not all, people should be eating animal products to be healthy. Now, I know you don't believe that now, so I'm not even going to ask
Yeah.
about that. But did you, intentionally like upload that video with that background? Were you even thinking about it? Why did you? Why was that?
Yeah. So no, I mean that background. I've used it even when I was a vegan. So there are videos on my channel where I sit in there and I just explain like, this is the only place I have to work. So, so that's that.
Okay.
But I think I can't understand that I said that unless I was talking about in the context of, without supplementation, for example. I can't understand that I would say that I think that most people cannot be vegan just, without any additional information or something like, obviously you can. And
Yeah.
I don't think I've ever said otherwise.
No, you can.
I've always said, like in all videos, I think, a vegan diet works for most people and that it's probably healthy for most people. And that I have no desire to debunk or try to discredit the vegan diet because my family is vegan and they're thriving as well. So I've never said anything like intentionally to like try to debunk the vegan diet. I don't think as a whole.
So I don't know if like your emotions were just like up here during that, but verbatim like you said in the video, you said,
okay,
I think that most, if not all people should consume animal products to be healthy. I have it in my first John Venus video, but I'm not trying to like shit on you right now. I'm just saying that is what came out of your mouth, and maybe you just don't remember. Maybe you were in a weird place. I don't know, but
I'll have to watch the whole video to see if there is more context because that's that would be maybe that's why I deleted it. Who knows, man?
Okay.
Again,
no worries.
That was like at my peak, confusion moment.
Peak of not thinking. Yeah, I got you. So
or overthinking.
Both. So you mentioned in these times you made the appeal to nature fallacy and the appeal to tradition fallacy when you were talking about this. You were saying like this is natural, and you said we've been hunting for thousands of years, and a lot of people heard this from you and were confused.
When what are you talking about now? In that video you're talking about?
I believe it was that video. Yes.
Okay. Yes.
Sure. And again, we can call that video the video of complete emotional distortion or overthinking. I don't know what we want to call it, but do you understand that when there's footage of you in the past arguing against the appeal to tradition fallacy, which, by the way, I put in the John Venus versus Von Genus video, and then you're now coming out saying the opposite, and you're arguing with the fallacy, people are gonna be like
100%. I think a lot of people just use what I say and think that, and it can easily be misunderstood as arguments, right? So like, just because I say, that hunting has been a practice for thousands of years, it doesn't mean that I mean that is an argument against veganism, right? So, but I do get it, and I wasn't trying to make an argument for in that sense. That would be, I think I could do a little bit better than that if I tried. But it was just, I don't know, man. Like, to be honest, a lot of these videos, I just hit the record button. I'm a terrible YouTuber. I need to work on that. And yeah, man. That's all on that topic, I think.
Yeah, I would just say in the future, maybe if you, because I get what you're saying. You're saying that you weren't making a prescriptive claim, defending it, saying it's been happening for a long time, therefore it's natural, it's moral. You were saying you were just making the descriptive claim that, oh, it's been happening for a long time. You weren't saying like, therefore it's moral. You were just saying that we've been hunting for a long time. That's it. Right?
Yeah.
I understand that. So to be clear, you don't believe that these things are moral in virtue of those two logical fallacies. The appeal to nature fallacy and the appeal to tradition fallacy. I'm saying that you don't think it's moral to kill and eat animals for those reasons. Yeah.
Not for me, no.
Good. Okay, cool. I just wanted to get clarity there because, again, people heard that and they thought that you identified with the fallacies.
I get that.
So people wanted to know what is happening with the backyard chickens.
Right. So they're still there in my wife's parents' house where it's their chickens essentially. So they're just chilling, I guess. They're still young, so like they haven't started hatching the eggs or anything like that. So they're happy and and healthy, and
Mm-hmm.
that's all that matters.
Okay. Do you think they have any plans to slaughter them? And I'm not gonna, if they
Well, I don't
do,
want to.
yeah, you don't have to.
Yeah,
I mean, you
I
don't
don't
have
want to.
to.
You know,
Yeah.
I like there is no plans at all.
Mm-hmm.
But you know, it's you know, it's not our, like, they're not our chickens. It's not our
Right.
house. It's not our
Right.
home. So,
Okay.
you know, we don't really have much control over that situation.
Right. Yeah. Just to be clear to people watching, if they do, you can't really put that on John because they're not his.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, what? So what? This is kind of a broad question, but like, what does veganism mean to you? I mean, there's a definition for it,
Okay,
but
I
to
like
you,
that.
what is
Sure.
it? Mm-hmm.
Yeah, for me, well, and a definition is also very open to
Yeah,
interpretation, I
yeah.
find a lot of
I don't
times.
like the
But
definition either. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. To me, it just means consciously making choices that avoid suffering as much as possible. And obviously, veganism is more related to animals, but you know, I try to think of it as everything else as well, like, you know, humans and you know, the planet, etc. But that's, in one sentence, I think that's what it means to me.
Okay. So I'm just gonna say real quick what it is to me, and then segue what it means to me, or use that to segue into the next question. So
Sure.
generally speaking, from like a sort of deontic rights perspective, I just think that it means that we should not be viewing animals as property, commodities, exploiting live animals for their, their products, their excretions, their eggs, their whatever.
Mhm.
So that's how I see it. And I want to ask you, do you have a genuine belief that all sentient beings shouldn't be viewed as resources or commodities for human benefit?
Yeah, of course.
Okay.
Yeah.
Because that's what would have stopped me when I was, if I was you back in the day when you wanted to um, buy those 3 eggs, like that's what would have stopped me
Mhm.
from doing that. And I'm just trying to make the point that the vegan philosophy, when you stay true to it, stops you
Mhm.
from making such commodity purchases. Yeah. So.
Yeah. Yeah, they do.
Mhm.
100%. Yeah.
Okay. So I just want to make this quick point. I'm just trying to help you understand the. I'm giving you all the reasons why people have a hard time believing
Yes.
you. So
I do appreciate that, man.
yeah.
You know, I really do.
So uh, you said in one of your videos years ago when you were vegan that you watched Earthlings, and you said the way that they killed the animals really shocked you. And then
Hmm.
again, years later, the quote we just went through that you weren't really sure that you said, I want to hunt and kill animals myself. So when people see that, that clear contrast, um, you know,
Hmm.
it's not like you said the way that animals were killed really shocked me, and then said, I'm gonna now go and pay for animal products where other people are gonna kill them. You said the way the animals kill them, or the way they kill the animals really shocked me. Now I want to go and kill them myself, and that just there's a clear, like kind of contradiction there.
Hmm.
Um, so I want
Yeah,
you to
sure.
understand, like, I mean, that's when people hear that, they it's like a shock.
Hmm.
It's like, how could you have said that it shocked you, but now you want to do the thing which shocked you yourself, right?
Hmm.
So I'm not even sure if you
Well,
hear.
yeah, I
Yeah.
mean,
Hmm.
it's obviously, like, you know, the act of killing, at the end of the day, you know, you can call that, um, you know, equal on both cases, right? But one case is a life of, you know, torture, and then one case when you're talking about hunting is, you know, it's a little bit different. Like, you know, they're living their natural lives and then they're dying, which doesn't justify it, but
Hmm.
you know, that's why I try to be careful with these analogies, you know,
Hmm.
because obviously there is a difference. But yeah, 100%. When you see a sentence like that next to a sentence like the one that you just mentioned, of course, it's shocking. It doesn't make any sense. I look like a wacko, you
Hmm.
know, someone who has zero idea what he's talking about, and an extremely unstable person.
Okay.
So I get that, and I think most people. And I'm not saying this to say that what I did was smart or okay or anything like that, but I think if you have enough footage of yourself online, you can make contradictions to a lot of claims and make anyone look, you know, silly in that way as well. So You know, that's also something to consider.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, there's now, like, I don't really believe that, say, humans are herbivorous after hearing Avi's arguments for why we're not, but there's Facebook arguments from years ago of me arguing that we are. So I understand what you mean when you say that positions change and
Sure.
whatever. But
Yes.
yeah. So now we can get on to the theories of motive part, which is going to be, I only have two questions, and then you can go off on other theories that you probably are aware of that people make. So,
Yeah, sure.
so was your exiting of veganism, introduction back into veganism, or both in any way motivated by profit?
Yes. Thank you, man. I love it. I've been
Mm-hmm.
waiting for this question. So,
Mm-hmm.
like, I understand because, like, you know, influencers and you know, flashy cars and jets or whatever. But yeah, definitely 100% not. You know, I know, and I also knew even before doing all this that is the worst thing that I can do for making money or for, you know, selling meal plans and these things. So absolutely not. It's never been for the profit. It's genuine confusion and personal life stuff. Otherwise, like, anyone who does social media themselves, I think can analyze the situation and understand that that would be a very horrible, you know, suicidal business move to do, right?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, definitely not.
Yeah, it's hard to
And to
believe.
get back into
Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
and to get back into veganism, I get it more. You know, to leave veganism for profit, I was really confused because that didn't make sense. But to come back to veganism for profit makes a little bit more sense, right? Because, you know, I realized that there was a detrimental effect. Now I'm coming back. Now I understand, and, you know, everyone needs to live and make a living. I can make a living in any way that I want, working from home, using my editing skills and just like freelancing if I wanted to or needed to. So it's really not about money. And it's not like just now because I am vegan again, people are just all of a sudden, you know, forgetting everything that has happened and
Mm-hmm.
buying all my stuff, right? And I'm like, you know, bathing in $100 bills.
Mm-hmm.
Definitely not. So yeah, it's never been about money at all. I'm probably one of the people that care less about money that I know. To be honest, at the end of the day, what I'm trying to achieve is just having as much impact as possible in a positive way, in any positive way that I can, and make the
Mm-hmm.
world a little bit better and more positive and that kind of stuff. So,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, I don't know. Like, I don't know what else I can say to, like, you know, I lost a sponsorship that was like, you know, my main source of income when
Mm-hmm.
I went vegan or when I went non-vegan. So that
Mm-hmm.
was a big blowback, probably the most significant. And then all the plans that I was doing, you know, I stopped selling them because I was unsure of what to do next. And then, you know, just put everything on hold essentially. So terrible business move.
Yeah. Yeah. I
Yeah.
mean, when people say that you went ex-vegan initially for profit, I always, like, I didn't really know, because there's two claims. There's that, and then there's the went ex-vegan for views. Those are two separate things,
Views. Right.
and we'll get into that. But from my perspective, it's like, I don't know how someone could think that you went ex-vegan for profit, because you obviously knew that you would lose a ton of followers.
Yeah.
And I guess they'd have to think that you would gain a bunch as a result to outdo it, and maybe even more than you had before. Therefore, you have more profits because you have more views and whatever.
Right.
But for me, from my perspective, it was like, I can't even conceive of how John would think that he's going to gain money from this. Maybe
No.
from the initial views that you get from announcing it, but it's not like you're going to have a
Like
bunch of meat eaters
$20.
just like jump in. Yeah, exactly,
Yeah.
like $20. So I don't even know what that means. But yes, when people say that you've come back to veganism for profit, I can
Mm-hmm.
understand that, because
Yes.
your audience was traditionally vegan and whatever. But okay, so uh, one more question, and then you can just go into other things if you want. So what are your thoughts on just being called a liar? Are you a liar? And do you understand why people think you are a liar?
Mm-hmm. Great question. So first
Mm-hmm.
I'll tackle, do I understand?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I mean, again, like just using the example that we used before with putting those two contradicting sentences together, in my 2 different stages of life, you can easily just conclude that this guy is a liar, right? So I 100% get it. I get it. And I've seen, I think for me, that was the part that kind of hurt me the most, or the probably, the part that got me like, a little bit sad, because like everything that I've done so far has been just as an effort, like an attempt to try to be representing my true authentic self online. No matter what kind of like stage of my life it is, right? Like my son's birth or my wedding, all these things, right? So like to hear from people that everything that I did was just a scam, and I was never really vegan, it hurts a little bit, because when you know the truth about yourself and you understand how hard you've worked for a certain thing, it's tough, but you just realize that as long as you know the truth and you understand that it doesn't necessarily mean that you're a bad person because you made this mistake. That's what got me to like just be okay with the whole situation. But yeah, I 100% understand. I've never lied on social media. I tried never to lie in person. I probably still do to my parents as a bad how do you say, like something that I learned when I was a kid. I was always lying about how often I played video games, so I guess I still have to figure that out. But I try to be as honest as possible with everyone, at all times, like as transparent as possible. I mean, we can talk about not anything, like some things like I try to keep private, like family and stuff, but like for me, I've decided to put myself out there a very long time ago, and I'm okay with the consequences. And as long as I'm just staying true to myself and being open to developing myself, learning new things, having the humility to understanding when I'm wrong, when I've done things that are messed up and screwed up, and change, as long as I'm willing to improve and get better and understand things and just become a better person, that's all that I crave, or all that I demand of myself. And I'm okay with the burden that sometimes social media carries along with it, right? Like hate comments and trolls, that's all part of it. And I think there's no way around it, right? No matter what content you do. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's funny because I'm asking you if you're a liar, and for people that think you're a liar, whatever answer you give isn't really gonna suffice. They're gonna think
right.
they're gonna
That's a good point. Yeah.
they're gonna think you're lying about saying you're not a liar. But like I said at the beginning of this whole stream or whatever, that I just want to hear you talk. Period. I'm not even sure if I believe fully the things you're saying in this video, but part of me does. Part of me is just skeptical. I'm a very skeptical person. But I'm not gonna lie. Like I want to believe you, and it feels to me like you're telling the truth. But of course, feelings don't always, represent reality. But what were you gonna say?
I mean, and I don't want, like, I'm not necessarily here to convince anyone that I'm the most honest person out there. I just want to give myself the chance to say these things out loud, and for the people who are willing to listen to try to understand where I was coming from, how my mind state operated at that time, etc., and give a little bit more context and understanding. And man, like I keep thinking about if I was vegan, like, let's say, flashback 4 years, and I found your channel, and I found out about this guy, John Venus, vegan turned hunter or whatever. And I saw your parodies. I'll be like, this is the best thing ever. Like, this guy's getting owned, and he deserves it, because, how can you go from vegan to hunter? And like, I understand how crazy people think I am because of that. Like, I get it. I fully comprehend it, and I don't expect anyone to change their mind because of one little interview or a couple of videos of me saying sorry that I made a mistake and that I fucked up. I don't expect any of that. So all I can do is just speak my truth. And I think if you do that, if you're trying to represent your authentic self, you will attract the people that you're meant to attract eventually, and people will get butthurt no matter what you do at the end of the day. So
Right.
yeah.
So I'll just say that under the assumption that everything you've said here is truthful, and these are your current positions, like that animals shouldn't be viewed as commodities, that you don't have any skepticism of the plant-based diet and all these things, as long as those things hold, I mean, you should be vegan. I mean, the rest of your life. And the way I'm talking right now, it kind of sounds like we're in a cult. So you should be vegan the rest of your life. But you know what I'm trying to say. But the thing is that you have changed your positions in a way where they fully oppose each other. So assuming that you're not going to do that, and assuming that you're free of skepticism of the plant-based diet, and you genuinely believe that animals shouldn't be viewed as commodities, shouldn't be exploited, shouldn't be killed, you should. I mean, the logical extension of all that is you being vegan for the rest of your life. And for me personally, and I feel like I'm maybe speaking for some vegans, maybe there's some that are never going to believe you, period. But for me to be convinced, I mean, I just need to see you maintain this for like 5, 10, 15 years plus. And yeah, some people say that you need to start doing activism, which I can understand why they say that, but I think that if you were to start doing activism, people would just view that as like, oh, he's just trying to convince people that he's vegan. But it's up to you how you represent the vegan message. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of all I have to say on this. I hope you were telling the truth here. I don't know if you were, but I certainly hope you were, and I'm gonna try to believe you.
At the end of the day, like, what I try to tell people is that you can't depend on someone else to, meet your expectations for what kind of things you want to see out there, right? Like, we all have to be our own inspirations and do our own work to, have a positive impact to, get that message out there. We all have to be doing that. And I think, I whether or not, a lot of people think that I'm lying and not a good person, genuinely, it is true that time itself, in 30 years or 20 years or something of being vegan and, built up this kind of brand that I've already built up for a while, but imagine 30 more years, like, even at that point, you'll have skeptics and people who say I'm eating meat behind the scenes, and that will never end. So you should never, I don't think it's the right thing to try to convince people that you're a good enough person, or that you're a vegan enough person, or a vegan in general. I don't think that's, always the most helpful thing, because at the end of the day, the animals, the environment, they don't really care too much about your reputation and what you've done. Like at the end of the day, the message and the actions have to take place, and those are the only ones that matter at the end. So yeah, cool. That's all I gotta say. I think today it was a pretty long stream, and I'm getting pretty cold out here.
Yeah, no worries. Yeah, we can end it. Just one more thing. I have just letting you know, if you do switch off again, like, I'm gonna probably come for you again with Perez.
What do you mean switch off?
Like if you go ex-vegan again, I'm probably gonna so just a warning.
Yeah, that's funny. Huh?
But
I'm sure there'll be plenty of other people to replace me. So
yeah, hopefully.
I think it'll be fine. Yeah.
All right, cool, man. Well, it's been a pleasure. Thanks for coming on, and good luck on your vegan journey. Your third one. Or whatever, but hopefully this is the last time that we have to discuss anything like this. But yeah, man.
For sure, man. Thank you so much for having me on to clear up these things. I think you did a wonderful job, so I appreciate that. And yeah, keep doing what you're doing, and keep up the hard work and spreading the message.
Yeah, appreciate it, man. All right, I'm gonna end the call now, and I'll talk to you later.
Yep.
All right, see you, man.
See ya.
Dude, even vegans don't get your weird, stupid wannabe sense of irony here. Who is your audience? Nobody gets these dumb jokes. Dude, even vegans don't get your weird, stupid